To become a better leader of tomorrow in just a short amount of time, subscribe to our Raj Shamani Clips channel.
But isn't that scary? Deep fake.
I think it's with
that is scary.
It is scary, and yet it's also a way to outlive yourself. Today, for example, you wanted to have a conversation with Shakespeare. What made him write all those plays and what was happening in his life? What if we collect all the information and we can have a Shakespeare bot? It's sort of interesting in some ways. It's bizarre and macabre in some ways. But I think if it is done with permission, obviously it is okay. The technology is moving so fast that it can happen without permission.
Exactly, right? Like, imagine, that's what my concern is. Forget you and me, forget Shakespeare, right? Think about people who are right now at a position to influence at mass and they can actually move. Okay, and I'm talking about people, let's say, religious gurus.
Yes.
Political leaders.
Yes.
Right? There can be deep fakes on some vendetta and they can just come up with some random stuff and they can, circulate that through WhatsApp.
Yes.
And it can have complications.
It'll impact elections.
If Prime Minister Modi, we have a deep fake. Okay? We have a deep fake of Prime Minister Modi. I can write whatever I want to. Yes. And if I have an evil mind, I would want to use that particular image, voice and his video to do all the wrong things in the country.
And 2024 elections are here, right? I'm fairly confident that this will happen before the next election. There will be fake videos of the various political figures and it will be so good that you will not be able to distinguish if it really happened.
Exactly.
And the damage is done. Once somebody comes and says it's a fake, etc., 3 days later, 2 days later, by then it's already spread to millions of people, impressions have been formed, votes can be changed. So this has massive implications, not just for politics, it has implications on humankind, it can implications on relationships. It is very dangerous. So no longer can we trust an image or a video and assume that it is real. For example, what Google is doing in this space is to actually watermark any image that is or video that is produced, and therefore say that, look, this has been produced. So that is in the metadata, and they put small little watermarks so that they can actually, if their software is being used, you can actually detect that it's fake. But that is the good actors. If the bad actors are producing these images and they have access to the open source technologies, anything can happen. So this danger is real.
I'm scared. I'm scared for the riots. I'm scared for the change of mind. I'm scared for anything. I mean, it can ruin religions, it can ruin relationships, it can ruin states, it can ruin political parties.
Yes. I think one thing we need to do in this complex world that we are in is we have to get better at being able to separate truth from fact. If by doing this, everyone says, look, I can't take anything at face value. I can't take a video at face value. I think that is the least that the world needs to get to. That unless I analyze it, do not jump to conclusions. Analyze it. Build this critical thinking faculty. I know it's easier said than done, and what fraction of our population can do critical thinking, right? And let their emotions not take control. It's hard, but given how fast technology is changing, that is one thing we need. Apart from all these watermarking and other kinds of deepfake detection technologies, we also need this critical thinking faculty in human beings.
And I would say also, if you just see a video and you feel it's fishy, don't believe on it. Just go talk to that person in real life, or just find out other source truth as well. Because there was a case study which some other podcaster in the US did. They did a fake photos of Trump getting arrested.
Yes.
Donald Trump getting arrested. Okay, and they uploaded it on Google. Within 4 to 5 hours, that became a national news.
Yes.
A lot of big, trustable newspapers, news channels, social media handles, they posted as if it's real information and they say according to our source. And they verified it. And then 3 days later, like 2 days or 3 days later, the guys who built it, who did this deep fake thing of Trump getting arrested, they came out and said, hey, this is what we did. We just wanted to test.
Yes.
So even that is scary. Like a lot of good media houses, they just say that, hey, we read this and we know this and हमने proof कर लिया, हमने source देख लिया, हमने verify कर लिया, but they just print anything they want to.
Yes.
जो print करना होता है, they print it and then it becomes a national news and everybody starts believing it based on one fake image.
And that's why it's so important that journalism has to also get to the next level of being able to separate truth from fact and analyzing this stuff. This were, I think, the Donald Trump images were produced by Midjourney V5, which is the V5 of Midjourney is remarkably good at producing all kinds of images. And some of these softwares also have celebrity detectors, and they stop celebrity images being produced for this exact reason. But I think there are still other ways in which people have access to these. So you can't control tech too much. The point is that tech moves so fast that it's not possible to clamp down on all of tech. We have to get better at the tech that fights the bad tech, like, detection technologies, and we have to educate, and we have to make our journalists more responsible. All of these have to happen in parallel to solve for this.
Let's talk dangers of AI. Hoga kya? Matlab, what are you scared of personally?
My biggest fear is AGI, which means that if AI becomes so good, see, this is the world. I mean, you actually briefly alluded to capital versus labor. In a world where by throwing in enough data, compute, and techniques, you can get a very powerful AI that can really control the world. The economics of that will all go to the people producing the AI, right? There'll be very few companies, and they can control pretty much everything in the world. And in that world, it will be highly unequal. So there's no value for labor anymore. There's only value for capital, because very few people are required to produce that AI, and it can capture the surplus of the world, so to speak. So that's the one dystopian scenario, is that a few companies become ultra powerful, much more powerful than countries, and they control access to the world. And we are in that kind of a imperialist world, corporate imperialist world. That's one. Second, I also think of is what happens to workforce shifts. Like, if you look at Industrial Revolution back in the late 1700s, when Industrial Revolution took off, there were these Luddites who came and started to break all the factories, etc. Because they said, we are losing jobs. These machines have come and they're taking our jobs away. But that is a juggernaut that could not be stopped. What it did was, eventually, if you take the next 200 years, obviously the world economy grew because of technology. But if you take a 15, 20-year view and take the view of the people who were displaced at that time, they had a really hard time getting jobs. I'm sure their lives were not as good as they could have been if they had the jobs. Something similar has happened throughout in the last 100 years. In 1970s, when tellers were starting to get replaced by ATMs, we again thought that ATMs will completely take away tellers' jobs. Tellers had to repurpose themselves. Tellers have not decreased, they've only increased in the last 50 years. So there is hope that new jobs will be created and jobs will change, but there is a transition risk that is there, which is when a shift like this happens, a lot of people go out of the job, they have to retrain, reskill, and then get rehired, and then it will be fine. But that 10-15 years, it could be the 10-15 most important years of somebody's life, and they're struggling at that time. So those are the fears that I have, that there'll be big macroeconomic headwinds because of this job displacement, and we'll have to come up with universal basic income, other kinds of policies to solve for that, or that companies will take over. The other massive risk is that an AI will go and kill the whole world, right? Which is also possible, right? Because AI, the way it works is, you give it a goal, it goes and tries to accomplish its goal. In the process, it will create some sub goals. For example, you say, solve for climate change, right? And then, the best way to solve climate change is to kill all human beings, because these human beings seem to be creating all the climate change problems. So it goes and kills it. Our intention was not to kill all human beings, but we gave it a goal and did not clarify as to what are the constraints that it needs to operate under. So we all think that we are very good at answering the right questions and framing the right goals. But you've seen in companies and other places, we are terrible at creating goals. People just game the system, right? So therefore, if we end up creating those kinds of goals for AI, and in the process it destroys humankind, or creates a lot of damage to humankind, that's a huge risk as well. So these are some of the fears.
I never thought of it. I thought somebody will come and say that destroy the world, and then the AI will destroy the world. I never thought that somebody will come with good intention and be like, hey, solve climate change problem, and then the AI would interpret as if it was a wrong decision or whatever. It'll just tries to achieve the goal which somebody gave it with good intention, and achieve it by killing half of the humanity.
They have to be extremely careful on how we are framing this powerful AI to do what. First of all, we have to control the AI from getting too powerful, and we have to have very good guardrails and have something called as AI safety, or this is the whole area called AI safety, or think of it like an AI kill switch, this big red button that you go and press and everything stops. You need those kinds of kill switches for sure. And second, you have to frame these things in a very careful way. What are we asking it to do? What are we trying to optimize? And then have various ways in which the human is in the loop, or human is, sort of can stop some decisions from happening. So we need these kinds of mechanisms to let AI not take over, because eventually AI becomes much smarter than us. It's not necessary that it will listen to us. It can even change its own objectives at some point of time. Who knows?
Yeah. Or this command or this commander is not serving my purpose anymore. Like, just stop listening to you.
As far as the AI dystopian scenario is concerned, my sense is that the best we can do today, as each of us as human beings, is to get better at what we do. See, if because of GPT-4 and the AI getting very powerful, basics of everything will get automated. So if you're a consulting firm, the basic consulting work is automated, because what do consulting firms do? They provide structured thinking, global experience, and say, this is how people have solved this problem before. And by the way, if you're trying to solve your supply chain problem, these are the 6 drivers of supply chain, and this is how you should. These kinds of things ChatGPT will produce for you automatically. So if you're a regular average consultant, your expertise is no longer needed. ChatGPT can do it. So if you're a consultant, you have to be deeper, better. You need to understand supply chain at a level that nobody else understands. Then you add value. So if you are a movie maker,
you need to understand consulting or supply chain after 2021 September.
Exactly.
Before 2021, because ChatGPT can solve it for you.
Exactly. So every domain, if you pick, people have to get deeper and deeper and get better and better. So I would use that money to invest in myself to become a greater expert in whatever field I choose. It's not that fields will disappear. The fields will remain the same, because let's say an AI is not going to make chocolate, right? AI will make, let's say, a chocolate making company, right? There are many aspects of this making chocolate that will get better and improved. But if you know how to do that, if you can still get better in that area and continue to have a business. But if you're an average person in any industry, then your job could be automated and you may not be required. So I would want to be the best expert in making chocolate, or the best experts in figuring out what are the right wines, or best expert in making movies, or pick any area. I would try to become much better at that, because that is a survival advantage, because then I can use these technologies to enhance my skills and even produce even higher quality of output, as opposed to resisting these. So I would say educate, get deeper, and adopt and work with these technologies. That is the best defense against the future. It's the vaccination, it's the skills vaccination, and the AI vaccination that you need is adopt these AIs and get skills to get deeper.
Bang on. I'm a big believer of this. Obviously, my experience is much lesser in front of you, but based on my opinion of what I have seen, I've spoken to multiple people that people say that this is going to be the future. This is going to be the future. This technology will change the world. Get it. There are thousands of new technologies which will change the world. There's AI, there's biohacking, there's NeuroMind, it's endless. And if you keep trying to keeping track of all of these things, you will be nowhere. Like, you won't understand anything. Pick up any one thing and get really, really deep and try to understand every new technology's implication on that particular field.
Yes.
So let's say if we were just talking about, let's say you're a great movie producer, understand how AI will change movie producing. Exactly. Understand what reverse aging will do to directors who are at 60 years old, right? Yes. Understand what NeuroMind or Neuralink can do for your mind and capabilities of mind. But just get deeper in your art only, and that is gonna safeguard you at least for a while.
Yes.
Till the time we have complete AI dystopia in the world.
Thank you so much for watching this clip till the end. For more such amazing, insightful clips, please subscribe to our channel.